Who will start at left guard for the Cincinnati Bengals this season? Hi again, everyone. I'm James Rapien of allbengals.com and Cincinnati Bengals Talk, and that is a conversation that really we've been having since free agency began, when the Bengals went out and they got Alex Kappa at 12:01 during the legal tampering period. A few hours later, inking Ted Karras, or at least agreeing to terms with Ted Karras, inking both of those players later that week. And then what did they do? Well, they doubled down. No. Triple down with La'el Collins at right tackle. So you got Ted Karras. You got Alex Kappa. You got La'el Collins. You got Jonah Williams in his fifth-year option, which we really haven't talked about much on this channel here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk, but that happened. So what do they do at left guard? And there's a couple of options. The favorite, I would say, at this stage isn't fourth-round pick Cordell Volson. It's former second-round pick Jackson Carman. But there's a lot there with Jackson. And, it starts with him being the 46th overall pick in the 2021 NFL draft. The Bengals traded down. They were going to take him 38th overall. Traded down and took him 46th. And I want to start here because there was the allegations, and if you didn't read the defector report, and it got buried during draft coverage, and I didn't feel like we could adequately cover it the way I wanted to during the draft, because the draft was like, it literally this report came out from the defector about an hour and a half, 2 hours before the first round of the draft started. And so I wanted to let the draft get past the draft and then address it here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. But there was a rape allegation during Jackson Carman's time at Clemson. And you can read the entire thing if you want. I'm not going to get into a ton of the details. The charges were dropped, but some teams were aware of it. Others, who knows? But according to the report, 4 teams, the Seahawks, Jets, Bears, and Texans, requested for the police reports in 2021 prior to the draft. The Bengals weren't one of those teams. They did issue a statement at the start. Zac Taylor did at the start of his news conference after they picked Dax Hill, and I'm going to read it verbatim. First off, I'm aware there's a story about Jackson Carman today. I don't have any comment on that. So the Bengals aren't going to comment. They already drafted him. Were they aware? Were they not aware? I'm not going to debate that. Odds are, if I had to guess, I would say they were probably aware. Okay? But with all of that, and I would honestly, if you want all the details on that, read it. The defector report. I read it the day of the draft, actually, when it came out. And, Kaylin Collar and Kaylor, I might have gotten her last name wrong, but she put together a lot of details and obviously had done a lot of good reporting on that side. It's not a fun read, of course, anytime you're reading stuff like this. But regardless of that, and I'm not dismissing that, but you came here for the football aspect of it. How does it impact the football thing? Well, I don't think he's going to get suspended, right? I think Jackson Carman is going to be eligible to play. So let's start there. I don't think that's going to happen. After that, well, is he going to start? Is he going to be the starting left guard? I don't know if the Bengals trust him. I certainly wouldn't, because at best, Jackson Carman is this immature but talented, undisciplined player. At best. Like, that's the best case scenario. And again, up to you to read it or not read it. I'm not going to take all the work the defector did. You should check it out. All you got to do is Google Jackson Carman defector, and we can put a link in the video. But even without that, showing up to camp overweight, the back injury stuff last year, the throwing up at Ford Field last year when he was told he wasn't starting and he did not start and then had to play because Trey Hill wasn't that good. The point is I don't think the Bengals can trust this kid. And when you hear Frank Pollack talk about Cordell Volson, and you should watch this video too. We posted the entire thing. It was Pollack and Bengals offensive coordinator Brian Callahan talking about the pick of Cordell Volson, the state of the offensive line, all of these things. It's like, man, this feels like the anti-Jackson Carman. The dude, yeah, he won in college like Carman did, but work ethic, intangibles, size, all of those things. It's just all of them. Just he's going to be the guy that works, the hardest worker in the room, and we need a guy that has some stuff to his neck, is what Frank Pollack said, and he didn't use the word stuff. And so it's like, oh, interesting. And I think that's it was a message to Jackson Carman. Something that Frank Pollack said was how many talented guys he had seen in the league that were out of the league and never got another chance because they didn't have the right makeup, the right mindset, the right all of the things, intangibles. And I look at Jackson Carman, and it felt like a message to him. They didn't say that. I'm saying that. And so when I look at this, and I'm going to be frank, not reporting this, but this is why you come to Cincinnati Bengals Talk. You want my opinion. I would be shocked if we gave Frank Pollack, if we gave the Bengals organization truth serum, but specifically Frank Pollack, if he, before the draft, looked at Carman and said, yeah, we should pick that kid. He might have been okay with the film, or he might have been okay with the physical traits and thought that, oh, well, maybe there is no way. He looked at Jackson Carman and said, yeah, that's the guy that we should get after passing on Penei Sewell. And they got it right passing on Penei Sewell. But think about it. You're asking your offensive line coach to pass on that kid. And you come back and you pass on the Creed Humphreys of the world. You pass on some of these higher-end linemen that are clearly better than Jackson Carman for a guy in Jackson Carman. And it was interesting. Elise Jesse talked with, for all Bengals, and you've seen her here on this channel, she talked with Paul Alexander, the former Bengals offensive line coach, in an exclusive interview after they picked Jackson Carman at allbengals.com. And funny enough, oddly enough, Paul Alexander, who has worked with Carman, said that he talked with Mike Brown about Carman. And the quote that stands out to me is, I go right to the top.
Yeah, I talked to Mike about it. I go right to the top. I don't.
That's the way to do it.
It's not like Alexander was talking with Pollack or talking with Zac Taylor or talking with Duke Tobin. No, he was talking with Mike Brown. And so you have that. You have the Cincinnati native tie in there. But, man, it's no secret that Jackson Carman hasn't been the hardest worker in the room. It doesn't take a private investigator to figure that out. So to me, given all that we know, and I can't get to every single tidbit in this video, but man, like I said, the work ethic, certainly a question. The judgment, certainly a question. The maturity, certainly a question. How much does he love football? A huge question. The Bengals and who they've drafted, all of these captains over the years, the past couple of years, right? I mean, think about it. Think about all the dudes they've drafted that are captains or leaders or this or that. They've had some success. Jackson Carman is the exception. And I wonder if this was their pick. I wonder if this was a Frank Pollack says, this is my guy. Because you know what? It felt like Cordell Volson was his guy. Like, look, give me a guy who's going to bust his ass. If he's going to do that and he's going to work hard for me and going to be consistent and loves the game, I can make that work. If you're giving me a guy that isn't that, and by the way, Cordell Volson did test pretty well athletically for a guard. So there's that. The more information we get, you could see it. And that doesn't mean that Jackson Carman can't be the guy, but it's not looking good for him, right? It's not looking good. It's gone about as bad as it could have gone. It could go through a year plus. And so to me, I look at this offensive line room, and you're right. You got four good to great, and I think Collins and Jonah, they could be high-end starters in this league. I think Kappa is above average, and I think Ted Karras is a solid, average, slightly above average starter. But the left guard spot, it's going to be Cordell Volson, Deontay Smith, Jackson Carman, all battling. Hakeem Adeniji could be there too. I'm looking at the depth chart here. Honestly, I think Deontay Smith is going to win that job, and they've been mentioning him as a tackle. But when you talk about the five best, to me, it would be Deontay Smith, 35.5-inch arms, did play inside some, but has all those things, has some stuff to his neck, has the intangibles, the work ethic. And maybe Jackson Carman responds well to this, but he hasn't responded much to much yet, okay? Hasn't necessarily done all of the right things, so we'll see. Carman probably the favorite. I think Cordell Volson certainly in the mix. Deontay Smith as well. But the left guard position certainly up for grabs right now. And, man, it's crazy to think about. Yeah, when that report came out, I'm like, man, what do you do with Jackson Carman? But odds are the Bengals probably knew about it. And, it's one of those things where there was no charges. They probably did their due diligence behind the scenes. But at the same time, you look at it and you overdrafted a guy. That's the other part of this. Carman wasn't supposed to be a second rounder. He's a third round pick. So they overdrafted a guy that has some questionable character, work ethic, and tangible issues. And that's me putting it very lightly. I understand that. And that just doesn't feel like something Zac Taylor, Duke Tobin, Frank Pollack have done in recent years, that this regime has done in recent years. In fact, it seems like it could have been a Paul Alexander, hey, man, you got to get this dude. This dude can ball out, and Mike Brown trusting him and going that route. Not saying it's true. That's my theory. Again, a theory. That's why you come here. You can get theories, opinions, thoughts. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. It's going to be an interesting battle at left guard because Carman is talented. No doubt. He's talented. But I think he's also immature, and I think the work ethic issues are apparent. And believe me, when I'm saying the work ethic stuff, there are certain questions. There was no way Jackson Carman should have showed up to training camp overweight last summer. There's no way, and he did that. And that was just foreshadowing what has been a rocky start to his NFL career in his hometown of Cincinnati with the Bengals. We'll have more on this. Zac Taylor talks Tuesday, so if anything on that, Joe Burrow probably going to talk this week. We'll see. Maybe not. Maybe it's not this week. Maybe it's later. Regardless, though, this is a one-stop shop for all things Cincinnati Bengals right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and if I had to predict today, I would say Deontay Smith starts at left guard. Jackson Carman, certainly the favorite. I'm going with the dark horse, a guy in Deontay Smith, who I think the Bengals are going to ultimately trust more because whoever starts at left guard is going to be the weak link, at least on paper. And to me, you want to be able to trust your weak link. I think they'll trust Deontay Smith. For our channel coordinator, Andrew Fox-Miller, I'm James Rapien, signing off for now right here on CBT, Cincinnati Bengals Talk.